Final round. Fight. Flawless victory.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sports Drip Live alongside my brother from the same mother, Enrique Contreras. My name is Jose Contreras, guys, and what an exciting episode we have for you today. UFC 281 in the books. Ricky just happened this past Saturday, so you know we're going to get into some of that. We're also going to get into some Bellator that's happening this upcoming weekend. Bellator 288 here in Chicago.
Yeah. How good? How awesome is that, man? They're coming back here. Well, we're not gonna be there. Wish I was there, but how awesome is that?
Yeah, pretty awesome. I would love to. I'd love to see when an MMA sport comes out here for sure. That and of course AEW Full Gear. Ricky also also this weekend as well. So that should be a pretty good card. But let's start off, Ricky, with some sad news. As we found out yesterday that Anthony Rumble Johnson has passed away, at the age of 38. Very young, man.
Very, very young, man. Tragically young.
Tragically young. Yeah, it's so sad to say. Condolences go out to him, his family. Prayers go out to his family for sure. But young age, very unfortunate that it happened. He was battling an illness, Ricky, nobody knew about, so he kept it close to the vest. Just real quick, what's a great Anthony Johnson memory you have?
Well, before I get into that, man, let's backtrack a little bit. I do remember, it might have been like about 2 weeks ago. I saw an article where his manager gave to ESPN saying that he wasn't, giving an update on Anthony Johnson because he hasn't fought. He was supposed to fight in Bellator last year, actually, like a few months ago, but he had to pull out due to the illness that he was going through. And he was given an update, and he said that he's not looking good at all, and he was just asking for prayers and hope that he can come back healthy. And and here we are, man. 2 weeks later, this is what happened, man. So yeah, very tragic that this happened, but man, you can think of a lot of good things that Anthony Johnson did in the UFC, man. This guy was one of the biggest knockout artists in the company and in the sport of MMA, man. You especially the one where he knocked out Glover Teixeira, the guy that the man who was challenging to get his title back next month against Yuri Prochazka. He knocked out Glover Teixeira probably 10, 13 seconds into the first round with an uppercut.
Yeah,
That's one of his best moments in there, man. And he just has an endless accomplishments in there as far as knockouts. He's ranked number 3 in the most knockouts in UFC history. But as far as what's the best moment I can remember that of Anthony Johnson, it wasn't in the cage, man. It was actually outside of the cage. It was when him and John Jones pulled a prank on Dana White at a press conference
right.
during the face-off. You remember that one? Yeah.
Yep.
So them knowing that Dana White would be the only one there would be no security. They made the plan where they were.
So Ricky, you cut off, man. I think you froze, but I'll go ahead and stop. So they had a prank with Dana White. All right, Ricky, you're back. Go ahead, man.
All right, you hear me? Everything's good?
Yeah. Yep. You're good.
Yeah. So yeah, my favorite moment with Anthony Rumble Johnson was during that prank that him and John Jones pulled on Dana White. That when they knew Dana White would be the only one there and no security, and they faked the fight going on right there, like pretty much a brawl right there at the press conference, and the look of fear on Dana White's face is priceless. I mean, it was just priceless, and then they let him in on the joke, and he had to laugh too because they knew he got him. So it's just that that warm-hearted thing, man, about Anthony Johnson, bro.
Yeah.
He was the most feared, one of the most feared knockout artists in the cage, but outside of the cage, man, he was humble, great guy, funny. So again, condolences to his family, man, and rest in peace to a legend, a UFC and knockout legend in the sport.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely a legend. Not many fighters, Ricky, do you hear or read that they were scared of other fighters, but a lot of people were saying, "Hey, look, he was intimidating as hell. He was one of the scarier fighters
Yeah.
in that sport, in that division." So yeah, no, for sure, man.
Yeah, he had that one hitter quitter. That
Yeah, he
one that
did.
one night, yeah, whether it was a punch or a kick, and that's what he'll be most remembered for. He was never a world champion,
Nope.
even though he had 2 opportunities against Daniel Cormier and he was unsuccessful, but nonetheless, man, here's the thing, man, the one thing that all fight fans love, they all love to see knockouts, and they especially love a fighter who is a consistent knockout artist, and that's what Anthony Rumble Johnson was. So, rest in peace again to a legend in the sport, man, and condolences to his family, and thanks for all the memories.
No, absolutely, Ricky. Great tribute for sure for someone like Anthony Rumble Johnson. With that being said, as I mentioned, it's never ideal to open up a show with talking about someone who passed away, but it's also important because these are guys who entertain us. These are guys who who give us great feelings. While we watch them fight or wrestle,
Right?
whatever the case. So we definitely got to pay homage to them for sure. But
Absolutely,
got to
man.
follow up. We got to follow up with the rest of the show, Ricky. And UFC 281 is the first thing on the card. Wow, that's all I can say. Wow,
I told you.
you
I
look you
I
you
told
said
you.
it. You said it. I didn't want to believe it. Even up until this fight, I didn't want to believe it. I was like, you know what?
Mm,
Adesanya has this in the bag all the way. And Ricky, it seemed like it was going that route. Other than the first round, Adesanya was dominating 100%. Now, let's backtrack a little bit, right? I'm getting ahead of myself, but UFC 281 this past Saturday, headlined by the middleweight championship bout between the former champion now, Israel Adesanya, and the up and coming phenom in Alex Pereira. This was only his 5th fight
in mixed martial arts, yes.
in mixed martial arts.
Yeah, his days in kickboxing and glory kickboxing are very well known to all fight
Yes,
fans. This
yes,
guy is an absolute beast.
yep, absolute beast. He came in already defeating Adesanya in those kickboxing days, not once but twice. And one of those, the most recent one, he knocked out Israel Adesanya. Well,
Right.
here comes Saturday night, another very hyped up match for the middleweight championship. And look, it was hard not to root for someone like Israel Adesanya because everyone was saying the same thing. Hey, look, this guy knows how to beat him. He beat him before. He has knockout power. But this wasn't the same Israel Adesanya. We've seen that this fight. It was not the same at all. Israel Adesanya came out very cautious, knowing the knockout power this guy has. He didn't just
Yeah.
go full force trying to fight toe to toe with this guy. He stood his ground, but
Yeah.
you could tell he was picking his shots. First round though seemed to me, Ricky, it went through Alex. It went for Alex Pereira. What'd you think?
At least until the last second. I mean, remember he
Yeah.
let what was it? Adesanya landed a right,
Yep.
stunned him, and then followed up with a left a little bit after the horn, but he rocked him.
He did rock him.
If there was a few seconds left, that who knows that would have been interesting. That might have been it.
That might have been it.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Only up until that last until the last second.
But
of
to that last
that
second,
round.
absolutely.
Yep.
But what happened, Ricky? Rounds 2, 3, and 4, because it seemed like Israel Adesanya had it in a bag. It literally looked like it was going his way.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can even argue the second round was I believe it was the second round where Pereira landed. It was pretty close, but then he landed a late takedown that might
Yeah.
have given him that round. But rounds 3, 4, and 5, and I guess 5 all the way up. Well, actually, yeah, maybe not even 5 because it before leading up to what happened in round 5. But yeah, pretty much this. If it was going to a decision, Israel Adesanya was going to walk away with this fight. I thought for sure.
No, and it would have been a unanimous because again, those three pivotal rounds, especially round number 4, Adesanya was put on. Round number 3 is when Adesanya put all the most pressure on Pereira when he had him down, and he was just tiring Pereira out. And he was noticeably tired because in round number 4 he was breathing heavy, he was moving slow. It didn't seem like he had any power in those punches.
Right.
But with that being said, Ricky, that I feel like that also benefited Pereira because it almost seemed like he was conserving energy for that 5th round. And once he went to his corner man told him, his team told him, hey, look, this is your round. This is your championship round. You need to take it. You need to knock him out here and win the championship. And that's exactly what he did. Real quick before we go into that, Ricky, in the comments, Jonathan Pelayo, what's up, man? He said, what's up, Contreras brothers?
What's up, Jonathan?
He said, who got better hands in their prime, Ricky or Tony?
Bro, I got that
In their
one
prime,
right in my right.
Look, if there's one thing you know about me, I'm always confident, and I always tell John and Eric, put me in a race with them, put me in whatever, I'm going to dust them. But when it comes to fighting and when it comes to fighting Ricky, there's no shot. He's getting it. Look, there's a reason why the intro to our show is him whooping my ass, right? Because there's no way I'm whooping his. At least not
you could have gave yourself a little bit in that exchange right there.
No,
I don't think you gave yourself anything there.
That was a realistic view right there of me and Ricky fighting.
Hey, just ask Miguel Torres, who I go train with at his gym, man. I rival Joe Rogan as far as the best back kick.
Oh yeah, he said that. Look at that.
He was like, man, fuck Joe Rogan. You gotta fucking you kick like a mule. That's what he was saying. I'll show you guys one day, man. I'll record myself.
I remember we've been to a YMCA together. I remember you kicking the hell out of a punching bag, and I was like, yeah, no way, no way in hell. Yeah, there's no shot, John. He whips my ass 100%. All right, going into that fifth round, Ricky, Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira, crazy ass fifth round. Why? Because again, Adesanya was winning that fight. It seemed like he was going to walk away. He was just waiting for the time for that bell to ring, the horn, whatever it is. He was waiting for it to sound, and he was going to remain the middleweight champion. But Ricky, walk us into what happened and why he isn't the middleweight champion anymore.
Oh man, look, this is something that was pretty constant throughout the fight, man. The thing is that you cannot let Alex Pereira get close. That is where he is most dangerous. Now throughout this fight, he was putting the pressure on Adesanya. He would back him up against the cage. Well, this time in the fifth round, after being yelled at by his coaches and say, "You're about to be a world champion. You need to knock this guy out." That's exactly what he did. As soon as he pressured him right back into the cage, he landed a right, then a right uppercut, and then followed that up with his patented left hook that he has the most power in, and that was it right there. He just kept unloading punches on Adesanya until he felt, he stumbled, fell down, came back up, but then, Mark Goddard immediately noticed that Adesanya was dropping his hands. He started staring down into the canvas, and that was it, man. He looked to be out on his feet, and that was a wrap, bro. That Alex Pereira once again, bro, for the second look, in the second kickboxing fight between him and Adesanya was dominating that fight up until he landed that left hook and knocked him out. Here he did it again. This time in a mixed martial arts cage. Everybody was saying Adesanya was going to walk away with a decision, and then he comes back at the very last round, lays in those hooks, especially that left hook, and he finishes him off, and he's the new middleweight champion. So he literally came back to haunt Israel Adesanya, man.
He did. It was literally the same story you seen in their last kickboxing fight.
Yeah.
Israel Adesanya was winning that fight even then, and then right at the end, Pereira knocks him out. It's like he's the boogeyman. He is literally the kryptonite to Adesanya Superman, and it's
he's got his number. He
got his number.
Yeah,
3-0 against Israel Adesanya. Nobody, Ricky, in his division, in this weight class, in this sport, in UFC, where it was able to even compete with Israel Adesanya, let alone beat him. And here comes Alex Pereira, does it every single time he faces him. It's wild.
He does it again, man. It's like and another thing I seen that was pretty funny about this, man. I saw a meme that I forgot to share where this guy follows him everywhere and he'll come and beat him. You know what I'm saying?
Is it the one that with the golf?
The golf. It was on the golf. Apparently there was one where somebody posted Adesanya retires and heads to WWE, and all of a sudden you see Pereira running with a Money in the Bank briefcase coming after him.
No way.
It doesn't matter where this guy goes, man. Pereira's not too far behind. He's gonna come and embarrass you again, I guess.
Look, I guess it all depends if Adesanya becomes successful, right? Because there's no way. Let's be honest. Once Pereira's seen Adesanya dominate in the UFC, he's probably, you know what? I beat this guy not once but twice. I know how to beat him. Let me go over there, and I can make some money over there. I can be big over there. And sure enough, Ricky, he did it, man. For this to only be literally his fifth fight in the UFC, and now he's the champion. That's unheard of. The last time we seen a champion do that was Brock Lesnar. What was it, his second fight? He won the belt, the heavyweight champion.
Might have been the third. let's see. He
Second or
came
third
in.
fight for sure.
He fought. Yeah, he fought Frank
Frank
Mir.
Mir. Frank Mir.
Yeah, he lost to Frank Mir in the first fight, right?
Yes.
Then
Yes.
he
No, you're
fights.
right.
Then he comes back and beats Heath Herring.
Yep.
Breaks his orbital bone. Then he fights Randy. Yeah, it might have been his third fight.
Third fight, Randy Couture.
Yeah.
And then he goes back
Randy
and fights Frank Mir and whoops his ass again.
Whoops his ass again. And then
They-
that fight
they've
with Shane. And then that fight with Shane Carwin where he almost got beat himself.
Yep.
Bro, those were the days, man. When Brock Lesnar was there.
Those were the days. The infamous saying where he said he proved Frank Mir had a horseshoe up his ass. So he took it out and beat the hell out of him.
And beat him at the
Yeah. So definitely no. So like I said, it's unheard of it. We haven't seen something like this since Brock Lesnar. As Rick Aguilar in the comments, man, we appreciate you, Rick watching. He said Pereira came out throwing hands, and he did. He knew it.
Absolutely, man.
He knew he had the power. He knew all he needed to do was just like I said in that fourth round. He didn't do a damn thing, but it's almost like he was just saving up his energy because he was tired.
Yeah.
Mouth was open. He was moving slow, but it's almost he was just
he might have been tired.
Energy.
He might have been tired for sure, man. Especially with all that grappling, because that was something that was different.
Yeah.
In this fight than the previous fights. That fight was kickboxing, but there's no grappling involved. This is a different sport. The only thing, the thing that really messed up Adesanya is that he hasn't really worked on his clinch or his wrestling or even his jiu-jitsu. When he had him down in that third round and he had his back, he didn't even not once did he even try to go for a choke. He took his back and just started landing punches. So, if they do end up having an immediate rematch, that's probably something he needs to think about. He's probably work on that game, man.
No, for real, for sure. Ricky, let's move over to Adesanya for a bit.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Put yourself in his shoes. You just can't defeat this guy. He's literally had your number every single time you guys fought. You're dominant in the sport. You're a lot wiser. You're stronger. You've been through so much in the UFC, and here he comes, and it's the same old story. He comes in, knocks you out, and takes your title. How do you feel? What do you do? Give us some insight there.
Well, as far as he was pretty classy in defeat. In the press conference, as he said, he kept the same energy, so he accepts the loss. I would imagine that there would probably be an immediate rematch somewhere down the line. And if I were him, man, it's just like how I said, he needs to work on his overall game. Obviously, his base is kickboxing, and he has that down pat. But so does this guy. So does Alex Pereira, another high elite kickboxing champion, just like Adesanya was. So he would, if I were Israel Adesanya, I would try to work on that other aspect of the game. He did have Pereira down throughout that entire third round. So probably more work on that. Try to work on some submissions, some jiu-jitsu, and try to get that guy out of there with some submissions, man.
Crazy. I mean, look, I think it makes sense to have a rematch. That should be the next fight. A rematch between these two guys. I mean, yes, he has his number, but that's in glory. That's over there with kickboxing. Here in the UFC, he's 1-0 against Israel Adesanya, and there was a really close fight. It was Adesanya's fight up into that fifth round, as we mentioned before. Yeah. So I think it makes sense that you give Adesanya a rematch, especially because he's been so dominant for so long.
Cleaned out the division.
Yeah, he cleaned out the division. Who else is there really other than Khamzat Chimaev, who's been very vocal since? But we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
But Israel Adesanya, to me, makes the most sense in the rematch. Do you think he gets it right away?
I think he would, especially since Kamaru Usman's getting the immediate rematch against Leon Edwards. And look at that. That's pretty similar too.
Isn't it?
Fight. Isn't it? Yeah. Usman was winning that fight up until the fifth round, gets caught by a head kick.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. I mean,
look,
almost the same, pretty much the same situation here. So if he's gonna get an immediate rematch, I think Adesanya deserves it too. Both guys dominated their respective divisions and cleaned it out. So, yeah, I agree. Immediate rematch. I'm almost expecting it. Really.
It's literally the same when the puncher's chance. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you just get hit, if you get clipped, if you get rocked, just that one good punch. That's all you need. Is one good punch, and it's lights out for anybody.
Bro, I think I even had a feeling before the fight even started that this was going to happen somehow. For one at the press conference when Pereira came out in his war paint and everything, I thought like, holy shit, man. I think Adesanya lost the stare down here. And then during the entrances, there was no shenanigans with Adesanya. There was he wasn't coming out to the Undertaker. Bro, he
Nothing.
came out. I saw it, man. I like he knew exactly who he's getting in the cage with. There was no
The-
nonsense there, man.
There was a respect. There was a respect factor for sure. I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, you know what? Israel Adesanya is coming out literally with just different, just a different type of feel. Because before you, as you're right, he would come out with some kind of dance moves. He would come out with just some kind of gimmick, right? He did the Undertaker
Yeah.
one time,
Yeah.
and nothing. It was just straight walkout. He looked serious, as serious if you ever seen it as Israel Adesanya. It was different. It was different. You
Wow.
mentioned it. It's like he knew what he was getting himself into, and that's respect. That's respect when you have that much respect for somebody. And man, yeah, how intimidating Alex Pereira is intimidating as hell. He just
Bro.
looks scary.
He looked, dude. I don't think I've ever seen him smile. The dude is
Dude,
just
right.
stone. Dude is just stone
Right.
face, stone face, killer face, bro. Like just. I mean, and then when they came face to face during the before the fight started,
Right.
they had him listed as both 6'4", but he looked taller than 6'4".
He looked taller.
He looked taller, and the dude was massive.
You know, yeah, because he put on like 15 to 20 pounds in one night. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the way his fighting stance, the way his posture, the dude just looks fucking intimidating, man. I would be afraid to fucking spar with the dude, man. Honestly,
it's wild. It's so yeah, it's wild. But going on to Alex Pereira, Ricky, here you are. You've defeated Israel Adesanya not once, not twice, 3 times, but the most importantly being this one this past Saturday in the UFC in Adesanya's own sport, own division, taking away his title. What's next? I mean, I know we mentioned Israel Adesanya as a rematch, but if you're Alex Pereira, do you want to fight Israel Adesanya again, or do you want to just move on and try to clean this division out the way Adesanya did?
I think for a guy like Alex Pereira, he'll just take whatever Dana White gives him. He's a fighter. He's a fighter through and through. And I think, honestly, I do think the rematch will happen. To be quite honest, but if it doesn't, for whatever reason, if Adesanya wants to take some time off, he gets injured or whatever, look, let's not forget about Robert Whittaker. He worked his way up. He worked his way up to be number 2 in this division, number 2, number 1 in this division, wherever he's at right now. He grinded, bro. Even though he has 2 losses against Adesanya, he really grinded his way back into that position. That's one guy. Then there's another guy who I think is not sure what division he wants to fight in, whether it's welterweight or middleweight. But that's Hamza Chimaev, man. He loves to talk his shit. He calls people out. He did call Alex Pereira out, so
he did.
So we'll see what happens, man, because he doesn't have anything coming up either. He has to wait if he wants to be welterweight champion, he has to wait for Usman and Edwards again. So there is an opportunity right there, and if that happens, boy, what an interesting clash of styles right there, man.
Look, Khamzat Chimaev is one of those guys that's also a dominant fighter. Someone like a Islam Makhachev who's working his way up, who's literally going through the rankings. We've seen his last fight with Gilbert Burns. That was a testament to what kind of fighter he is, winning that fight and grinding out that fight. I would love to see him face either the winner of the Usman Edwards fight, or is it Edwards, right? The welterweight championship fight, Usman Edwards, or the winner of this fight between Adesanya and Pereira again. If that was the match to go, if that was the match they're going to go with again, regardless of the fact, I think Khamzat Chimaev is that good of a fighter, and he's big. He's a big welterweight. I think he could transition easily to middleweight, and that's a fighter, man. I would love to see with anybody, because this guy is legit.
I mean, I did trying to work a fight between him and Colby Covington, but that's not really official yet. And so that may or may not happen. If that happens, man, I think he'll smash Colby Covington.
I don't think Covington wants that fight. I don't think Covington wants that fight at all.
He's been very quiet lately, man. That's very, very uncharacteristic of him. I guess because they have a pending his lawsuit with Jorge Masvidal right now. I guess he's not. I guess they're probably advising him not to talk. But yeah, that is a fight they are thinking. But yeah, if Khamzat Chimaev, think about it, man. The dude, the wrestling, just that overwhelming wrestling. I mean, will Pereira be able to defend that? Is what I'm saying. I don't think even Chimaev would want to stand up and fight with Alex Pereira, but taking him to the ground, that's still a question mark for Alex Pereira right there.
And that's the one thing I was gonna say about Alex Pereira is that we've seen it. Israel Adesanya in no way, shape, or form is somebody who's good in the ground. Let's be honest. He's not he's not good on the ground, but he looked like he was pretty good against Alex Pereira. So if that's the case, Alex Pereira is just weaker on the ground. Put anybody who could wrestle. And I think Pereira his days are numbered there, man.
Yeah.
His only shot right now is to knock people out. So he really needs to work on that ground game, because if not, he's not going to be champion for long.
Yeah, especially if they put Chimaev, that's gonna be a long night, either a long night or short night for him.
Yeah,
Quick.
For sure. You guys listen to Sports Drip Live alongside my brother Enrique Contreras. My name is Jose Contreras. We are reviewing UFC 281, Adesanya versus Pereira. We're talking new middleweight champion Alex Pereira and how he defeated Israel Adesanya in the 5th round. Rick, again in the comments, we appreciate you watching. Too much respect. Is Adesanya, Ricky, about to have a second half career similar to McGregor? I don't think so. And here's the reason why. Look, credit to Israel Adesanya. He even mentioned it in the post-fight conference on Saturday night, saying he literally fought 3 times in the last 10 months. This guy is not someone who shies away from a fight. He goes out there, he lays it on the line. He is a true champion. He would if they set up a fight for him, let's go. He doesn't duck nobody. He doesn't back down from nobody. Even knowing that this fight was going to be an issue with Alex Pereira, he still took the fight. And that's a true champion. That's a true fighter. And I give that man all the respect in the world. I don't think he's going to have a second half career similar to McGregor, because he's still technically a great fighter in his prime. I think he has lost a little bit of a touch, but I think that's just the champions. Like, that's just like, really, honestly, I just think that's every champion grows through that. When they clean out the division, they're like, who's next? They kind of take a step back a little bit.
Right, they feel a little unmotivated, okay, well, that's Anderson Silva was in the same position.
Right, exactly.
You could say even John Jones was too in the light heavyweight division.
Absolutely. And I think this loss, I think this motivates Israel Adesanya to come back stronger, harder. I think he gets that edge back. This is probably what he needed, was to get humbled a little bit. And who knows, maybe he comes back a lot better than we've seen him before. What do you think?
But it all depends on if he works on that ground game. I think that's where he really needs to work at, because even if he wasn't able to imagine if he would have got in there with Hamza Chimaev instead of Alex Pereira. I think that would have been, we probably would have seen something almost similar. Instead, maybe even choked him out, because Hamza Chimaev is that good on the ground, and it's just like, as you mentioned, Adesanya is not. That's not his strong suit.
Right.
So if we think that a fight between Pereira and Chimaev would go exactly Chimaev's way, I could say the same thing about Adesanya. So it all depends, man, because you got Pereira, the boogeyman, his worst nightmare, coming back to haunt him. Took his title belt. If they get in there again, he doesn't work. If he doesn't work on that ground game, it can end very similar. He'll get rocked. He'll get knocked out. If he gets in there with a Chimaev is going to bully him on the ground, and until he decides he wants to submit him. So it all depends on where he goes from here, man. As far as like if he goes back to the drawing board and works on that ground game, that's where he needs to work at.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. UFC 281 was this past Saturday, Ricky, and we just talked main event. Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. Let's talk co-main event. Zhang Weili gets her title back after defeating Carla Esparza. Ricky, talk us into this fight. What did you see, and why do we have a new champion?
Oh man, it was. I don't think Esparza was really ever in this fight. I mean, her wrestling is top notch. That's her base, and that's what she likes. That's what she likes to do. But Weili came prepared for that. She defended. She even tried to wrestle herself. And she was out all around just the better striker and the harder striker too. So going into that second round, when they ended up back on the ground again, she had this pretty unique rear naked choke that she put on her. She wrapped her right arm, and then with the other one just choked her.
Yeah,
and that was it, man.
You mentioned it. She was dominant, 100%. Like she just seemed confident. She just seemed powerful. Just her whole demeanor. She was playing no games with Carla Esparza.
She was there ready to become champion, man.
Dude, it was impressive. It was impressive to see, because Carla Esparza, who could be pretty dominant in her own right, but it just seemed like she was just out of it. But I don't think it had anything to do with her. I just think Zhang Weili was just just on a different level from
Yeah.
Esparza, and she showed it, man. And you're right,
Yeah.
that rear naked choke looked bad. It looked like she
Yep.
held it in tight because
Yeah.
Carla Esparza submitted right away.
Yeah, because like I said, she she trapped the right arm, and then not even a body lock. She just trapped the right arm and just right there had the hook in, had her body twisted a little bit, and just submitted her, and that was it. So
Wow.
another short reign for Carla Esparza, unfortunately for her, and she did, and she came into the arena, people booing her, man, because I
Yeah,
think
dude.
because people remember. I guess they're booing her because of the last fight with Rose Namajunas, which was not good at all. Neither women did anything in that fight. So, but with that being said, now with Zhang Weili winning the title, that kind of opens up the door for a third fight between Weili and
And
Rose
Rose,
Namajunas. Yeah, being that
third
Rose has
Rose.
two wins over her,
I
so
mean,
it opens the door. That's all I'm
it makes
saying.
sense. It makes sense. Maybe Rose is to Wiley like Pereira is to Adesanya. I mean, maybe that's just her kryptonite. But I'll tell you what, if Zhang Wiley just comes out the way she did this fight against Carla Esparza, I don't care who's across the octagon. Nobody's getting a shot. Nobody's getting a shot at taking that title away because that dominance was unprecedented. It was crazy,
Yeah, she was
crazy.
absolutely ready, man. So yeah, once again, Zhang Weili, a UFC champion, and like I said, man, that opens the door. That opens the door for a trilogy fight. Will she be
Yeah,
successful this time around?
I
I
think
would
so.
I would I would imagine so, man. I would imagine that okay, she was very motivated to get back the title, but I think now if the third fight between her and Thug Rose would happen, I think she would be extra motivated to try to beat her because
Yeah,
that was something she has yet to do. The first
right.
fight she gets knocked out, and then in the second fight she gets beat in a unanimous decision. I think I mean I wouldn't say she was dominated on the ground by Rose, but she Rose outpointed her for sure in that fight,
She
and she
did.
beat
She
her.
did outpoint it for sure. But like I said, there's just
Yeah.
something different this time around. I don't know if
Mhm.
it was just the losses that were piling up. Maybe she was just mad, but she looked so different this time, man. I've never seen her this focused, this dominant,
Yeah.
and or maybe just Carla Esparza wasn't that caliber of a fighter. I mean, as like you mentioned, it's not like she dominated Rose Namajunas in the last fight to win the title. It was kind of a boring
It barely
fight that
it
that ended
barely
up
it
her way.
barely right, it barely happened.
Yeah.
That fight, it was barely a fight. That's
Regardless of
what
the fact
everybody
she was
remembers.
champion, regardless of the
Mhm.
fact she was champion, Ricky. So then what's next for her? What's next for Carla Esparza? How does she make her way back up to a championship fight?
Man, you know what? That is pretty hard to say. It all depends on what the UFC who they give her next. I need to take a look at the rankings actually.
I mean,
I
as
would
you do
even say
that,
Rose, but I don't think anybody wants to see that.
yeah. I mean, the way
But
the last fight ended, I wouldn't want to see it either. But if the UFC wanted to go that route, they can. You know what I mean? Maybe for Rose to get her win back against Carla Esparza, and then winner goes on and faces a Zhang Weili, that makes sense to me too. To be honest, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
a sexy pick, right? It's not a sexy fight, right? But it could be
right,
it could be
right.
one that makes sense to see who gets the next championship rematch because it'll be a rematch for
Well, let's
both
see. Amanda
girls.
Lemos is at number 3, right? I mean, Amanda Lemos is at number 3. She just won her fight. Uh, there is a Marina Rodriguez. I mean, I would probably say either Marina Rodriguez or even a Mackenzie Dern to try to get back to try to see because both Mackenzie Dern also lost her last fight, so I would say
She did.
maybe you know match them up and see because they're both gonna have to try to work their way back up as well. So I would say
Yeah,
probably if the UFC wants it, they can match her up with Mackenzie Dern.
they can, but as you
They
mentioned,
could,
she doesn't have any momentum going, and she lost her last fight. So we'll see what happens.
yeah,
Regardless of the fact, whoever's facing, like I said, whoever's facing it, Ricky, they're gonna have a tough out because Zhang Weili is legit right now.
absolutely.
She
And man, if she
she
keeps
don't
that
care.
motivation in the third fight against Rose Namajunas, for example, or they might even put her in there with Amanda Lemos.
Yeah,
That could be that's also very possible too because she's worked her way up. But I predict that it'll be Thug Rose next,
yeah, it
third
makes
third
sense.
fight, and yeah, if she keeps that motivation, I think she'll beat her this time.
I agree. I agree 100%. You guys are listening to Sports Drip Live. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, on Star 6 Media. We're brought to you by Star 6 Media. So make sure to follow all our Star 6 Media platforms at Star 6 Media. Plenty of shows to watch. Plenty of them. I mean, we just did Big League Chicago right before this show. We have the JCA Sports Podcast. We have Only Football that's recording tonight, and that episode will air tomorrow. We have Slot Shot Hockey. If you're into hockey, that's a hockey podcast. EAFP, the World Cup's coming soon. That's a soccer podcast. JCA Sports. Did I mention JCA Sports? I think I mentioned JCA Sports already. We have there's a lot of shows. There's a lot of shows.
We got
bring up, bring down, baseball. You name it.
We got something for everybody.
We got something for everybody. Exactly. Unless you're a golf fan. I don't know anybody who watches golf, but if you're a golf,
we gotta find a golf guy. We're looking for a golf guy. You know, we're
looking for a golf guy. There you go.
Right.
Regardless of the fact, we have it for you at Star 6 Media, and really great quality shows. I mean, every single one of them is great. So make sure to tune in at Star 6 Media as we give you guys all content, all sports, all the time. All right, Ricky, a fight that you and I were really excited for. Yeah. This was another fight on this card, UFC 281. There was a fight between Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier. We knew this fight was going to be crazy because both guys can bang. Both guys could throw down. And whenever Michael Chandler is involved, there's not much defense. Let's be honest. There's not much
defense. A lot of looping punches.
Yes.
A lot of aggressive, non-stop action. You name it. That's Michael Chandler.
A lot of blood. A lot of blood. And this fight didn't disappoint because it's exactly what we got. We got all the above that we mentioned between these two guys. And I was surprised. I would say Michael Chandler was a bit less aggressive than usual. I think right off the bat, he wasn't just throwing, he was picking his shots, which was very smart against someone like Dustin Poirier because we know what this guy can do when he stands up.
Yeah, right.
Right. But towards the end, once
he has a guy's hurt, hurt, then that's when you see it. Yep.
Right. Once somebody gets hurt, whether it's him or the other guy, then you start to see him just go all out. And we got that. You want to go ahead and talk us into this fight?
Oh man, you left it to me, huh? Man, that first round was probably the craziest one out of this fight right there, man.
It really was.
You know, he hurt Poirier, backed him up in the cage, started throwing a bunch of looping punches that some did connect, and picked him up. I mean, he was doing like spine busters and whatnot. He was just picking him up and tossing him down. Then it turned around towards the end of that round, where Dustin Poirier was coming in with his shots and damn nearly finished him. It's just like how, you know, like in the main event, if there was only seconds left, that might have been it for Michael Chandler in the first round.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So then it's hard to say who might have won that first round. You probably could have gave it to Poirier or Michael Chandler. It was that close because both had their moments, and it was probably one of the best rounds that you'll see ever in the UFC. Right there, that first round between these two guys. Second round was all Michael Chandler. He used that wrestling. He kept Poirier down. Surprisingly, Poirier is also pretty good on the ground, but he was unable to get up, and especially with a guy like Michael Chandler, who's very strong. You know, it was hard to get up. It was hard to get up from that from being held down like that for Michael Chandler. So that one went right there to Michael Chandler. Then comes the third round. I think there was a few instances where Poirier said that Michael Chandler was fish hooking him. I think they showed a replay.
Yes.
They showed a replay. I think he fish hooked him to try to get it, I guess try to open up for a choke or something.
Yep.
And then there was also a moment when Chandler was on top that it looked like he either blew his nose or spit blood right into his face. And you could see it. You could see a gob of blood just falling down on Poirier, man. I mean, dude, you could tell the dude was pissed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
you're right. There was fish hooking because I seen it. He literally had his hands in his mouth trying to pull him up so that way he could gain a better position for that rear naked choke that he was trying to attempt. And the referee did see it and he said something to it, but the position was already there. And the referee should have stopped it then, but he didn't. And Poirier's lucky, man. Poirier's lucky he didn't give up too much of his neck, because if he did, then it would have been over.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, actually, you know what? And that came back to haunt. That came back.
Karma.
Karma came right back to Michael Chandler.
Right
into that third round. As they ended up back on the ground again, Poirier ends up on his back, and and sinks in that rear naked choke and got him.
Got him.
And I was expecting actually to go all 3 rounds, man. But Poirier, he showed his jiu-jitsu and he got the finish, man. Capped
Yeah.
off a really great fight between these guys, man. It did not disappoint.
Did not disappoint at all. Plus 650 in betting. If you guys had Poirier winning by submission, I don't think anybody did, but those were the odds. Plus 650. So it was really good odds for someone who placed that bet. But yeah, man, what a fight between these two guys. It kind of went other than the submission, it went the way I expected.
Yeah,
these guys literally throwing down with both of them getting hurt. More Chandler than anybody because again, this guy doesn't defend to save his life, literally. But I knew Poirier was going to come out the winner. And Ricky, that just it bothers me a little bit, like because when you're Michael Chandler, you're so talented, you're so gifted. This guy's 38 years old. He's 36, 38. He's up there in age. He's not a young guy. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can you continue to fight the way you're fighting? It's not working. Like it's entertaining for us. You're getting extra money as far as fight of the night, like bonuses and all that. That's great and dandy, but you're not winning your fights. You're not nowhere near closer to a championship bout.
Maybe that isn't his motivation.
I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Maybe his motivation is just to rack up those fight of the night bonuses, knockout bonuses, whatever he can get, and call it a day. I mean, he's one of those fighters, bro. Like that. That just it's like do or die. He goes in there and he'll just keep swinging until one guy drops. It's just like Dana White said. He's the Arturo Gatti of mixed martial of UFC, mixed martial arts.
But it never goes his way. But how many times can you lose though? Like I get maybe that's not his motivation to become champion, but it can't feel too good to train all that time to get to this point just to lose a fight.
Yeah, it can, but it's like I said, man. Everybody's wired differently. There are fighters that are just wired to become great, become a world champion. And then there's other guys that are in there just having a good time, and they just want to put on a show, and they want to rack up bonuses. Maybe that's Michael Chandler, and you know what? He's not getting dominated until we start seeing this dude getting knocked out within seconds of the first round. That's when it's probably okay. I think eventually we'll get to that point. Because when you fight like that, man, it's not long for the sport. It really isn't. When you fight the way that you fight, eventually your chin is gonna go. We've seen it with a lot of guys in the sport. So, I guess he's just here for a good time, not a long time. That's all I see it, man.
He's not gonna be here for much longer if he continues to fight like that, man. I'll tell you that much. All right, but here you go. On the other side, Dustin Poirier, another impressive win. He has to have a title shot coming up. He has to.
Well, not anytime soon, because we'll get into it a little later about the champion Islam Makhachev, but dude, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. Even if he did, I just don't see him beating. I don't see him beating Makhachev. So it is pretty hard. It is pretty hard to predict what would be next for Dustin Poirier. Yeah, he got a big win. He's still up there in the rankings. But as far, for at least for now, he doesn't have the next shot. Volkanovski does. But after that, even if he fights Makhachev, do you really think he'll beat him, man? I don't see it.
That's a different question. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a different question for when it happens. Yeah. But he has to when this fight with we can get into it now. I mean, let's be honest. That's next in the topic, anyways. But with Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski. With that fight now confirmed, when that's all said and done, if this is for what? This is for Makhachev's championship, is it not? For that championship?
I believe so, yeah.
Right. Exactly. Whoever wins this bout, I feel like Dustin Poirier should at least be in line for that title. He has to be.
Either that, I'll be also interested in seeing him fighting Colby Covington. Those guys hate each other, and those guys been enjoying back and forth.
They have, yeah, you're right.
For a long time. That's a grudge match right there. So even if
he would have to move up, wouldn't he?
Either he has to move up or Covington has to move down, whatever, or even at a catch weight. Even though Dana doesn't like catch weights, but it's possible. It's still there. But either way, he has to wait. He has to wait because Makhachev scheduled to fight Volkanovski in a couple months.
Yes,
so,
and that, yep.
So either way, he has to wait. So what's he gonna do in the meantime? That's a fight I'm interested in right there.
Yeah,
A
same here.
grudge match.
That's next on the dock, Ricky. UFC 284. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Well, no, we'll talk about Frankie Edgar right after. But UFC 284, Alexander Volkanovski, Islam Makhachev confirmed. The number one ranked pound for pound fighter in MMA, Alexander Volkanovski, will face the number 3 ranked pound for pound fighter, Islam Makhachev, champion versus champion. We finally got a confirmation. This fight is going to happen UFC 284. This is going to be one of the biggest fights in not only UFC but MMA history. How excited for you for this fight?
Correction. Makachev's number 2 now. He moved up.
Oh, he moved them up.
They moved him up. So
Holy
he's moving up. He's moving up those rankings slowly right there.
Wow.
This comes as the updated the ranking system right now in the UFC. But man, talk about a clash of styles. Talk about a very, very interesting fight. Because Volkanovski, he isn't number 1 pound for pound for no reason. This guy has been destroying. He's almost damn near about to clean out his division.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Legit. And the man, his striking is just on another level.
Yeah,
it's just too much on another level. His ground game is pretty good too, but now he's gonna face a guy who I think has him in spades as far as the ground game, Islam Makhachev.
Yep.
And not only that, but he's also very. We've seen him too. He's also pretty good standing up. He has power in his hands.
He's an overall great fighter. Great fighter.
Both guys are. Both guys are. Even though I have Makhachev, a lot better on the ground, but this is going to be very interesting. It's hard for me to pick a winner on this one. Very, very hard.
Is it crazy? I want to go Volkanovski. I don't know why.
I want to go Volkanovski too, man, because Makhachev beat Oliveira, but we still have yet to see him really dominate the best of the best. He's only fought Oliveira is the only top elite fighter that he has fought and beaten so far. Volkanovski has beaten Max Holloway 3 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 3 times.
Yeah.
Max Holloway is one of the best in featherweight history. And he's also I believe he's also beating Jose Aldo as well. As far as Volkanovski. Jose Aldo.
He has a list. He just, like you said, he cleaned house. He's already cleaned house.
Yeah, he's been there. He's beaten a lot of top guys. A lot of top level guys. So
there is a size difference though.
There is. Yeah, there is. Makhachev is a taller man. He probably has more of a reach.
Yeah.
But would that matter? Because Volkanovski could be in and out. He can go in there. He can land. He can. He's very. I would say he might have the advantage in speed and quickness.
I think with strength and power though, especially for someone who's preferably a better ground fighter, like Islam Makhachev, that matters. You know what I mean? That matters a great deal. He could literally put all that weight. He can put his size to use when it comes to taking him down, going to the ground. And I feel like that's where his strength lies. That's where the advantage is for Islam Makhachev. And if he does, if he would be or I guess if he were to pull out that win in that fight, it would be. I think it'll be because of the ground game, for sure.
Yeah, that would be definitely the way to go for Islam Makhachev. But it's like I said, man. There's still for me, there's still a little bit more question marks as far as Islam Makhachev, because it's like I said, he's beaten. Charles Oliveira is the only guy he's beaten that's at the top of the top, and Volkanovski has made a career out of that now. So. And you can say that he has more of experience level as well, being at the top. So we'll see, man. I want to go Volkanovski too, but Islam Makhachev is coming, man.
He really is.
He's coming for a fight. There's no nonsense in that guy when it comes to fighting in the cage.
And because of that fight, Ricky, because Volkanovski, who is the featherweight champion, is going to fight the lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. The featherweight title is now up for grabs. At least the interim featherweight championship is now up for grabs. And in that same card, Yair Rodriguez is going to face Josh Emmett for an interim featherweight championship. That'll be the co-main event. So basically, we know Alexander Volkanovski's title is not up for grabs in that fight against Islam Makhachev. But whether he wins or loses, his next opponent, at least for the featherweight division, is going to come out between one of these two fighters, between Yair Rodriguez and Josh Emmett. This is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a really good fight. How do you feel about this one?
Hey, look, some people might think that Arnold Allen was kind of snubbed a little bit, but especially with his he's worked his way up too. But this fight is going to be very good. We're talking about Josh Emmett, who does have bombs in his hands. He has a lot of power in his hands, and Yair Rodriguez is probably one of the more dynamic, like creative strikers that you'll see in so. You hear me?
Yeah. We hear you now. We hear you. You're back.
Yeah. More technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Sorry,
good.
guys.
Go ahead.
But as I was saying, man, Rodriguez has made a career of just with unorthodox striking, especially like if you go back and see how he knocked out the Korean Zombie with that elbow as the Zombie was coming in at the very last second of the fight. I mean, just crazy, bro. Just insane level, like just insane creativity from Yair Rodriguez. So yeah, this is gonna be a very great fight. And as far as who I think might win, I might go slightly with Rodriguez on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think Yair Rodriguez. I think this match is poised for someone like Yair Rodriguez to win the featherweight championship. And the match with him and Volkanovski to unify that title is going to be insane, absolutely insane. So yeah, I'm definitely hoping for him to win. But first things first, Alexander Volkanovski is going to have to go through Islam Makhachev.
He's daring to be great. Yeah, he's going. Yeah. He's trying to be a double champ.
So it's going to be definitely that card, Ricky. UFC 284 in a couple months is going to be one to watch for sure. For sure. Real quickly. Absolutely. So I think we'll save Frankie Edgar. Oh, we can talk about Frankie Edgar right now. He retires. He had a fight this past Saturday. It wasn't much of a fight. He got knocked out quickly. This was his last fight. Going into this fight, everybody knew this was going to be his last fight. Yeah. And not a way you want to go out. He had his family there, his kids there, and they got to see just a dominant performance, but not from Frankie Edgar, Ricky, as he retires. How do you feel about this?
So there, man, you kind of broke up. I didn't hear the last thing you said.
I don't know. Basically, not the way you want to go out if you're Frankie Edgar, but it is what it is. How do you feel about Frankie Edgar, his last fight here in the UFC, and his career overall?
Yeah. Look, man, and this is a very unforgiving sport. Very rarely does a fighter ever go out with a win and with a feel good moment. So it always ends up with the veteran getting knocked out or beat by the young up and coming hungry fighter.
Yeah.
But so not the way he wanted to go out for sure. But man, he looking back on his career, he has nothing. I mean, he has a lot to look back, man, that he could be proud of. I remember when he fought BJ Penn for the lightweight title, nobody gave him a chance. We watched that. I remember we watched the fight live. We watched the fight live and we were like, BJ Penn was the one of the pound for pound best back then. Yeah. And Frankie Edgar made it look easy, man. In that fight, he dominated him, took him down, kept him down, landing the more significant strikes, and he won that fight. He became lightweight champion. He's always been known to be one of those, the smaller fighter, but he made up for it, man. He was the quicker fighter, the more explosive fighter, exciting. His fights with Benson Henderson were great, especially the ones with Gray Maynard. I mean, those fights were, especially when he finished them. In the second fight, the fights with Gray Maynard were just one of the best fights of his career. So, he has a lot to look back, man. He's a former champ, veteran. He had a lot of great fights, a lot of fight of the night bonuses, and it sucks to see him go out this way, but he will absolutely be remembered as one of the greatest fighters in the sport for sure.
Yeah, one of the memories I have watching Frankie Edgar was when it was an upset, when he surprised BJ Penn, when BJ was just a dominant champion way back when. And I remember we watched that fight at B-Dubs, Ricky. We were there watching it at B-Dubs.
We were there.
When Frankie Edgar defeated BJ Penn and became the champion. And I was like, holy crap, I don't know who this guy was. But I'll never forget that, man, because the whole
nobody gave him a chance.
Nobody.
Yeah, nobody gave him a chance.
Nobody. The whole place was stunned. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell just happened? Because BJ Penn was dominant. BJ Penn was one of those champions that he was very exciting to watch. And,
Yeah.
and one of my favorite fighters, but man, when Frankie Edgar
He
came
was
to town, it was it.
Yeah, he was just a notch behind George St. Pierre back at the time.
Yeah,
BJ Penn.
yeah, BJ, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
And
yeah, definitely.
if I don't if I remember too, man, that fight card, I think was that the one that had Randy Couture and
Mhm.
James Toney?
Yep.
When James Toney tried to come in here and try to try to come into mixed martial arts and thinking that he could knock out Randy Couture, but Randy immediately took him down and submitted him.
Yep.
Or either submitted him or I think he did ground and pounded him in that fight. If I remember.
Yep.
So there
Yeah, no, I'm here. Absolutely, man. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, just sad to see it, especially because his family was right there. Not a way you want to leave, but like you, as you mentioned, that's just how fighters nowadays, especially when they're older, up in age, that's just
Yeah.
how it happens. Like whoever the younger guy is, it's just a trend that we hate to see. But those guys just get knocked out right, literally to the end,
Yeah.
and it's over. So,
Yeah.
look,
But
it's sad to see it, but a great career to look back on. Frank Edgar did literally everything that he can in this sport. So look back and be proud, Frank Edgar, because you had a great career for sure.
yeah, enjoy retirement, man. You deserve it.
Absolutely, 100%. You guys listen to Sports Drip live alongside my brother Enrique Contreras. My name is Jose Contreras. Ricky, let's quickly get into Bellator 288 this weekend here in Chicago. We have Vadim Nemkov versus Corey Anderson 2. Ricky, tell us about this fight. Main event.
This is just the rematch of what happened between these guys. Man, what 6-7 months ago?
Yeah.
So this was really supposed to be the finals of the light heavyweight Grand Prix, and the winner would become the champion and win $1 million. But what happened here was Corey Anderson, for one, he was dominating the fight and he was winning it, but when they were on the ground, he was doing ground and pound and accidentally headbutted Nemkov and opened up a big gash and open up like a real nasty gash.
It was bad.
It was bad, and then the referee had to stop it. Referee Frank Trigg, who I remember his days fighting Matt Hughes.
Yep.
He's a referee now, man. I'm glad to see Frank Trigg, man. I remember those wars with Matt Hughes, but
another legend, Matt Hughes, man. Another legend, Matt Hughes.
Yep. Another legend. But so this is just a continuation, and so and still it still applies the Grand Prix rules. The winner will get $1 million, become the light heavyweight champion. So with that said, I don't see this going much different. I think Corey Anderson is gonna do what he did in the first. Hopefully he'll avoid a headbutt, and if he does that, I think he'll win the 5 round decision and become champion and make that $1 million.
I think so too. It'd be a great fight, great interesting matchup. A fight that should have ended the right way last time, but it didn't, as you mentioned, because of a disqualification. All right. This fight I'm excited for.
Co-main event. Yep.
Patricky Pitbull, Ricky, versus Usman Nurmagomedov. Whenever you hear Nurmagomedov, you're just like, oh my god, another one, right? Another.
If you're the opponent, you'd be like, oh shit,
exactly. Like what is it? What is it with these guys? From these Russians, right?
These Dagestanian Russians, man, with this
right, the dominant fighters.
I know, right? They're wrestling fucking bear cubs over there in Russia. And
I
shit,
swear, man. I'm excited for this fight. This fight's gonna be a crazy fight. But wow, yeah. Go ahead, Ricky. Talk to us about this fight.
I think, man, Patricky Pitbull, lightweight champion. He beat Peter Queally to get this belt after his brother, who held the belt, Patricio,
gave it up.
Gave it up. So here you go, brother. Get that belt, and that's what he did. And ever since then, he's been fighting in other fight promotions like Ryzen and stuff. So he hasn't really defended this belt like that. So now he's going in against Usman Nurmagomedov, who's undefeated. Comes from that fight camp. The first cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov. And the way I see it here, man, is we're gonna have another Dagestanian champion, and I think he's gonna win this fight by submission. I'll probably give it round 2 or 3, maybe. I think he will either submit him or choke him out. As good as Patricky Pitbull is,
That's saying
I,
something because I
I,
was just gonna say like Patricky Pitbull is legit.
he's legit,
Like,
man.
he's an exciting
Patricio's
fighter to watch.
yeah, and Patricio's probably the better of the two, to be quite honest.
Yeah, right.
But but Usman and Magomedov, I'm telling you, man, these Dagestanians are taking over the sport.
For
It's like
real.
it's like the clique in wrestling, man, taking over WCW and WWE. The Nurmagomedov, the camp over there with the Nurmagomedovs and the Dagestani Russians over there, they're taking over the sport.
They really are. And for those who are wondering what we're talking about, Khabib Nurmagomedov, who was in UFC, he retired, went undefeated, dominant champion. Nobody could touch him. Literally dominate. He retired. What was it, last year? Was it last year or the year before when he retired?
It might have been, you know what? Now that you
2
mention
years
it,
ago,
man.
no?
Maybe almost 2 years ago now.
Almost 2 years ago, he retired because his father passed away. His father was his main coach, his just his coach his whole life, basically, right?
Yeah.
So he only had one fight without his father. It was his last fight.
Yeah, he was everybody's coach there. Makachev,
Yeah, he really was.
Everybody. Yeah.
It was his last fight. So once his father passed away, he had his last fight, retired a champion. He gave up his championship, retired a championship. Now his cousin, Islam Makhachev, has that title.
Yep.
Right? He's the one we were talking about who's going to face Alexander Volkanovski, a dominant champion.
And he's always said that yeah, he's gonna be champion. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It took a little bit because you know Charles Oliveira had to sit in the throne for a little bit, but there he is, man. But go ahead.
There he is. So you have those two cousins who've already dominated that sport. Well, Islam Makhachev is about to, I feel like, in the UFC. Now here in Bellator, we have another cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov, and that's
Usman Nurmagomedov.
I'm sorry, I'm about to say Erman. I don't know why I was going to say Erman. Usman Nurmagomedov, and he's undefeated. Another dominant fighter who's getting a shot at the title. It's like, what is going on? Like these guys they're just breeding champions over there.
Oh, they are, bro.
They're just breeding champions.
It's like I said, if you're the opponent, I've seen memes of it too, man. I've seen memes of it. Like you're the opponent. Like here's your opponent. You see a Dagestanian with a beard and be like, oh shit.
Exactly.
Man,
exactly.
But here you go, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, especially the most on this card. And I think Nurmagomedov is going to win the championship, man. I think he's going to win. I give it in submission. I think Patricky will give him a fight. I got to give respect to Patricky Pitbull. I might give him, maybe the first 2 rounds, maybe even the third. But I think it might end in the third, man. That's how good this guy is. That's how good all these guys are in that camp.
Absolutely, so, I agree. You get no argument here, but brother,
I'm just pissed that I'm not going to be there. But I'm trying to work some strings and try to be there, man. I've never been to a Bellator fight live. I've never been to a UFC fight live, and I'm still waiting for that.
Me too. Me too. Maybe next time around when MMA comes out here, Ricky, we got to go for sure. But yeah,
we got to go for sure, man. Absolutely,
we got to go for sure.
But this will be at the Wintrust Arena, so everybody out here in the Shy, man, you're gonna be there, have a good time. The fights are gonna be good, man. We got Tyrell Fortune on there.
Yes, you do.
In the heavyweight division, I think he'll win that fight. But this should be a good fight, man. It should be a good fight card. Good fight card.
Yep, another fight card, Ricky. Real quick before we end the show, AEW Full Gear this weekend. Are you excited for this pay-per-view? Is there any particular match there on that card that you're excited for?
I would think. Listen. The main event between MJF and Jon Moxley is probably the one I'm looking most forward to.
Yeah,
because I think this will be the crowning moment for MJF.
Yep, I agree.
And ironically, it was really supposed the real main event of this card was supposed to be CM Punk and MJF, and that story made a lot of sense. That he would finally beat CM Punk and become champion, and it comes all full circle the feud that those guys had, but. It is what it is. The brawl out thing happened, and Jon Moxley, the what's the word I'm looking for? The guy that Tony Khan can rely on, right? The helping hand, the hand.
The dependable guy. Yeah, dependable wrestler who you can rely on. Exactly, he's a dependable guy.
The good hand, yeah. So there you go. So this would be a good match, and I think that my prediction is I think William Regal is going to turn on Moxley, and he's going to help MJF win this match because this is wrestling. This is wrestling. This is pro wrestling.
They have been cutting promos together, MJF and William Regal. It makes sense. That's a good pickup. That's a good point. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. especially with the history. If you follow the story, William Regal was one of the guys in NXT that either I don't know what he denied MJF a job there or something like
Yes, well,
something like that.
they did a promo a couple weeks ago about that, and it was so good. Both
Very good.
MJF and William Regal did their thing with that one. But yeah, basically MJF was just saying how he was trying to get it, trying to get into the WWE. He had some opportunities to show him what he got. They were all in love with him. They were like, this guy's really good. But whatever the point was, it didn't pan out. William Regal gave him the call and said, hey, you know what? You're just not it right now. And that fueled MJF to turn him into whatever he is today, which is a great performer, great wrestler. And I think probably one of the best in the sport. If Roman Reigns wasn't on top right now, if it was just Roman Reigns on top in wrestling, period, I think MJF is at least top 5, if not top 3.
Absolutely, yep. I agree, and because of that, man, because of that feud or that the promo battle that they had, I see a turn here. I see a swerve, and because like I said, this is wrestling, man. Everybody turns on everybody.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think it's right there, man. I think the way that MJF is gonna beat John Moxley is with interference by William Regal. Probably help him with the brass knucks or something.
Yep.
Because you come on, man. MJF is still the top heel in this company, and he will go to that level to become champion. Even though he says he might not this time, but you can't take that guy serious, man. That's how good he is.
No, exactly. You can't, but it's gonna be such a good match between these two guys. Both deserve it for sure. John Moxley has been a great champion. Someone like, as you mentioned, who's been dependable. He's been the good hand for Tony Khan. I see after I also see MJF winning after this. John Moxley taking that vacation, that much needed vacation he was supposed to take. Right after he lost the title to CM Punk.
Yeah.
But I think after this, he finally gets to go take a vacation, come back, and then they can restart that feud again for sure. But let me give you the full card real quick. Sting and Darby Allin versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Not a bad match,
Not bad. No,
not bad. But I feel like they need to do more with Darby Allin. I don't like the fact that they're continuing to pair him up with Sting. I get it, but I get it because Darby Allin isn't that guy. He doesn't have that talent like MJF does, like when it comes to on the mic.
Right.
But I feel like it's just the same old thing between Sting and Darby Allin. You're putting him in these tag team matches, and it's like, what else are you gonna do?
Right. I mean, it worked for him in the beginning, but now it's starting to be like, okay, maybe he needs to go on his own now. But I feel you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're holding him back for sure. You have Saraya making her in-ring debut, her return against Britt Baker. I'm excited for that match.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for that match.
They had a pretty good promo battle too on Dynamite last week.
They did.
They did, and Soraya's coming back into the ring. Let's see if she can still go. She's still very young, man, but she has that back, that bad neck, the bad spine that she's had. So hopefully she can get through this match.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm curious. I'm curious to see what she still has left.
Exactly. So
yeah.
And Britt Baker's always good, especially on the mic.
Of course. My favorite female wrestler today is Britt Baker. 100%. I love Britt Baker. She's awesome. Okay.
Man. I love that attitude she has, bro.
She really is a good wrestler. She's like one of my favorites right now. Like she's really good. Becky Lynch was my favorite for a while. And then they just kept hyping her up. They kept putting her into like these championship matches. I'm like, okay, I got tired of seeing her. But like an AEW side, Britt Baker, I'm glad that she had her run. Now you see her putting other wrestlers over. That's what you like to see. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So for sure. Steel cage match, Luchasaurus versus the Jungle Boy. This is probably going to end their feud. A feud that to me didn't really make sense. I get they probably want to make Luchasaurus or Jungle Boy want like they want to split them up, put them together. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's just it doesn't do it for me.
It doesn't. No. I think there'll be an interference by Christian Cage. I think somewhere in this match if he shows up. That's my prediction.
I agree.
So
AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament Finals: Ethan Page or Bandito versus Lance Archer or Ricky Starks. I guess that or Brian Cage. I guess there's gonna be some matchups this upcoming week.
Yeah.
To determine those two. But I like Ricky Starks.
I like Ricky Starks. I hope he wins that. Yep.
Ricky Starks is amazing. He's so good. He's another one of those young talents that could really become something. He's so good on the mic as a performer. Ricky Starks is definitely a talent I would love to see. I want to see AEW do more of. You know what I mean? I want to see him definitely
more. Yep.
expand. Yeah, he's great. He really is good.
So yeah, so hopefully I have him the favorite of winning this match, this eliminator match on Dynamite, and then we'll see what happens in the pay-per-view
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Ricky Starks. Yeah.
Yeah, Ricky Starks for sure. Fatal four-way. This match, I mean, this is probably the match I'm excited about the most. Sammy Guevara, Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho, four-way match for the Ring of Honor World Title. This is going to be a good match.
Any match with Bryan Danielson is always good. Then you
Yeah,
got Jericho.
Sammy Guevara too. Really though, Sammy Guevara.
Yeah. You can expect something crazy. You can expect something crazy with Sammy Guevara. Claudio Castagnoli is always fun to watch.
Yeah,
And then you have the Ocho Chris Jericho. I mean, what else do you want, man?
The greatest of all time, Chris Jericho. Exactly. This match, I'm more excited for sure.
Yeah, that's hell yeah, that's for sure, man.
It's gonna be a great match. AEW TBS title on the line with Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill. I mean, I get it. You have Jade. You got to give someone. You got to give. I guess Jade Cargill a different opponent.
Yeah,
you know,
this feud doesn't do it for me though, man.
It doesn't either. It doesn't either for me either. It's like
it doesn't. It's whatever. Next.
Yeah, right. I mean, Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaim rematch, third match between these two for the AEW World Tag Team Titles match. Another one I'm excited for.
I think this will be good, and I think this is where we'll see the split between Swerve and Keith Lee.
They have to.
There's going to be some kind of miscommunication, and then you know, the Acclaim will reclaim their titles. So yeah, I hear myself, man. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? You hear me good?
No, you're good. You're good.
Good. Yeah.
You're good. And then the AEW interim women's world title match between Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm. Another one I'm not really fond of. I get these two.
Really?
These two yeah. Well, these
man,
two
I love these two, man. I look forward to this match.
Really? You know what? I don't know.
I
I don't know. It's just they don't move the Toni Storm. I like Toni Storm, but she doesn't move the needle for me. She really doesn't. I get it. Like you gotta create stars, and I love that AEW is doing that. Yeah. But I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of Toni Storm, and Jamie Hayter to me is just like I don't know.
I love Jamie Hayter, man. Don't go there, bro. I think I look. I love both these women. I look forward to this match.
Really?
I look forward to this. Yeah.
I mean, they're best friends in real life, so it should be a good match. If anything, they train together, but they're best friends in real life. Well, real life. But you have
I think this match will surprise you. I think it'll be good.
All right. Well, I'm gonna look at it with a different lens, for sure. Okay. And of course, we already mentioned MJF, Jon Moxley. We talked about that one already. So not a bad card. Not a bad card at all.
There's also the rumor now. We've been seeing these vignettes with the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks.
Yes. Yep.
And then they show like I guess the Full Gear logos in the background and stuff like that. So my guess, everybody is thinking that probably this Wednesday on Dynamite they're probably going to show up. So they might end up challenging for the trios titles against the Death Triangle. So that possibly is another match that might be added for the card. So look out for that. And that's also going to be very good.
And if that's the case, that's going to be one of the best matches of the night.
Oh yeah,
I'll tell you right now.
Yep.
Glad to see them back for sure.
Yeah, so I think especially if you've been seeing all the vignettes, it's all leading for them to return and return at Full Gear. So I almost expect there's going to be a trios title match between these guys, and it's gonna tear the house down.
Right. So. Well, what a night. We have a lot going on, Ricky. This weekend coming up, and what a show we have for you guys today. Again, we have a lot to talk about. Next week, we will talk about the aftermath of Bellator 288. We will talk about the aftermath of Full Gear. WWE, not much going on right now other than we were talking right before the show. Austin Theory, who we talked about last week, who we thought was going to get buried by Triple H, right?
At least
wasn't really doing much.
Yeah.
He was basically the focal point of this show, of this Raw show. So I guess they have a plan for Austin Theory after all. He's already switched to heel, so he's a bad guy now, and cut a really good promo. Won his fight. Well, not even when he got disqualified, but it was a really they gave these two, him and Dolph Ziggler, a lot of time tonight on Raw for a really good match, I thought.
Right.
And then he attacked Seth Rollins after Rollins defeated Finn Balor for the United States Championship. So looks like they have a plan for Austin Theory. I like this edginess to him. Looked a lot different. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think Triple H's plan was just to get that briefcase off of him.
Yeah,
You know, because remember,
yeah,
remember Vince McMahon was the one that gave him the briefcase when he was in power. And
right,
then for him, look, it made him look like a complete geek cashing in on Seth Rollins for the US title, right? It
right,
really did. It really did. It did not do him any favors, at least at that time. But
right.
then you also got to look at who's the champion right now? Roman Reigns. He has both
Yeah,
belts. He's
yeah,
barely there. He's barely
yeah.
there. And then plus, can you actually see Austin Theory beating? No,
No,
exactly. So
it's yeah, it makes sense. It makes
so
sense.
I guess this was Triple H's way. Okay, let's get this shit off of him, and let's just revamp your character. Let's really do something different with you, and try to build you up.
You're right.
So
You're right because losing, like, come on, it's a given. We all know he's going to lose to Roman Reigns. There's really no shock there. I guess the most shocking thing was to cash in on the United States champion, one who's literally wrestling every single week. Roman
yeah,
Reigns is part time, as you mentioned. So it makes you're right. It does make a lot of sense. We were giving Triple H a lot of flack for doing that because you're right because it just seemed odd at the time, but it does make sense.
yeah.
In retrospect, it
Hindsight,
does make sense. Yeah,
yeah, hindsight. Yeah, it looks like they were just trying to get it off him, trying to right that wrong that Vince McMahon one of the wrongs of Vince McMahon before he was when he was in power. So we'll see where he goes from here, man. I still see great. Look, I think Vince McMahon was right. I think Austin Theory
oh
will
yeah,
become a big star in this company. I think he could be the next guy, top guy.
right.
So we'll see what Triple H does with him.
I agree. I like Austin Theory. I think he's good, and he's better heel than he has anything else. And see, yeah, exactly. See what we got in him. He has a lot of potential. So WWE's in good hands for sure.
Yeah,
AEW, regardless of what happened with CM Punk, Ricky, and the Elite at the All Out Media Scrum,
yeah,
they're putting on a good card. They still got a lot of talent, a lot of superstars on that roster. So they're putting on a really good card. So the future's still bright for AEW.
oh yeah. When you especially they're about to crown MJF the champion. So yeah, there
Right.
you go, man.
There
He's
you
gonna
go.
be he's gonna be the top guy of this company. So yeah, we can expect great things, man. MJF really is a once in a life. He's a generational talent for sure.
He really is.
He really is.
So if you're
And
a
there
wrestling
and
fan, there's no better time to be a wrestling fan than right now.
no better time. And if I were Tony Khan, I would want to keep this guy, man. Pay him, pay the man. Don't let him go to WWE. This is
Give
this
him
is your this is your star right here.
give him a stake in your Jacksonville Jaguars franchise.
All right,
Make
let
him
me
part owner or
owner.
something. Just make sure to keep him.
No.
You know?
Don't go that far, man. Look where he got you. Don't be a mark for this guy either, man. Look what
Right,
that
right,
got
right,
you with
right,
CM
right,
Punk. Look where that got you with CM Punk, right? Come on, man.
right,
You
right.
gotta, you know.
But for sure, for sure.
I still
Great, great show.
I'm still not 100% convinced that CM Punk's gone. Not yet, at least.
Really,
Not yet.
that's a topic. That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
we'll
not
get
going
into that
there.
later.
We'll get
I
into
mean,
that
yeah,
later.
it's most likely, but still, man, there's still that small 1%, 5%, whatever you want to look at it. There's still
Right.
that chance that he might still do business with the elite
We'll
and
see.
make this an angle. So
We'll see, man. Thank you guys for watching Sports Drip Live in the books alongside my brother, Ricky Contreras. Again, my name's Jose Contreras. Guys, we will be back next week. Again, talk about what happens in Bellator
yeah,
288. We'll talk about what happens here in AEW Full Gear. And of course, tomorrow, Wednesday, Dynamite AEW, Friday Night SmackDown. Damn, we didn't even talk about the Usos, but it's okay. We'll save that for next week for sure.
oh yeah, they made history. Yeah,
They made history. Yeah, they made history. They definitely made history. We'll talk about that next week for sure. But yeah, we'll talk with you. We'll talk to you guys. We appreciate you guys joining us. Everybody in the comments, to John, to Rick, everybody who's watching. Again, Rick, you want to say anything before we go?
no, man. Thanks once again. Thanks everybody that commented, that tuned in, and stuck with us even through some of the technical difficulties. Man, we love you guys, and we'll see you guys next week.
Absolutely. We'll be back next week again alongside Ricky. My name is Jose. We will be with you guys again next week. Make sure to follow Star 6 Media in every single episode that we put out and all our other shows put out. Watch it, like us, subscribe, all that good stuff. Again, thank